Think you know who the oldest presidents in U.S. history are? You might be surprised. Let's test your knowledge on Learn with Mr. Lewis. So we're looking at the age when the president left office. And as we look at these first four presidents, you'll notice something that's kind of interesting. Yes, the first four presidents, Washington, Adams, Jefferson, and Madison, were all 65 years old the day that they left office. Kind of interesting. Next, with James Monroe, he's way older, 66. Okay, not a lot. But that does put him in the top 10, actually, for presidents. I mean, with some of our recent presidents, maybe it's surprising that 66 is one of the 10 oldest. But yeah, James Monroe comes right in at number 10. And as we move along, Andrew Jackson gets us to the top 5 at 69 years, 354 days old. Andrew Jackson, number 5. Okay, William Henry Harrison. He's the 7th oldest president, and an interesting one for sure because, of course, he dies just a month into office, and yet still is number 7 on the list. Interestingly, if he had served his full term, he'd be number 3 on the list. And if he'd served 2 full terms, he'd come in at number 2 on the list of oldest presidents. All right, now we get to Polk. And Polk is an interesting one because he's the first U.S. president who takes office in his 40s. And that's good for the 9th youngest overall. All right, Millard Fillmore. Now, Millard Fillmore is significant because he is the youngest to ever come to the presidency because of the death of a U.S. president. He's 50 years old when he takes over as president after the death of Zachary Taylor, and that makes him the 10th youngest overall. All right, James Buchanan. He comes in not just as one of the worst presidents in history, but the 6th oldest as well. Now, Grant's an interesting one, and one of the youngest presidents, actually the 4th youngest president in history. He's 46 when he takes office. I don't know that we always think of Grant as being so young, but he definitely is. Garfield's an interesting one because he's one of the youngest presidents. He's 49 when he takes office, and of course he serves only 6 months in the presidency. Cleveland turns out to be a pretty significant president. He's best known because he's the only president, at least at this point, who has served 2 non-consecutive terms. That could all change, of course, in the future, but the only one to do that. And he's very young when he first takes office, 6th youngest at just 47 when he takes office. Theodore Roosevelt, of course, comes in as the youngest president in U.S. history. He's only 42 years old when he takes office. Of course, he's not the youngest ever elected president. We'll get to that in a little bit because, of course, Theodore Roosevelt, his first term, when he comes into office, he does so as a vice president who takes over from William McKinley. Truman, of course, is one of our oldest presidents. He comes in at number 8 on the list. And Eisenhower is one that might surprise you a little bit. He was 70 years old when he leaves office. So Eisenhower is number 4 on the list of oldest U.S. presidents. So that brings us to John F. Kennedy, who is the 2nd youngest president in U.S. history, but the youngest ever elected since he beats out Theodore Roosevelt when it comes to being elected president. Just 43 years old when he takes office. Now, this is one that probably won't surprise anybody, and you might notice that the top 3, we haven't got to any of them yet. And number 2 on the list is Ronald Reagan, 77 years old, very close to his 78th birthday when he leaves office in 1989. Bill Clinton, of course, is one of the youngest presidents. He's the third youngest we've ever had. He's 46 when he takes office. Barack Obama also makes the top 5 for youngest presidents, 47 when he takes office. And now we get to Donald Trump, who is the third oldest president on the list. He was 74 years old when he left office back in 2021. Now, of course, he would change spots on the list if he is elected here in 2024. He, in fact, could potentially become the oldest U.S. president in history if he is elected in 2024 and serves the full 4 years. And that brings us, of course, to number 1 on the list, the oldest president in U.S. history. That is, of course, Joe Biden. Now, if Joe Biden completes this term as president, he will be 82 years old and 61 days at the end of that term. So what surprised you on this list of oldest U.S. presidents? Let me know in the comments. Also, there are 2 videos over here that I know you'll really enjoy. One about the youngest U.S. vice presidents in history, and another about presidential succession. Thanks for watching.